there. I was hoping to speak with Neil Jorgenson this afternoon.
Who's calling?
My name's Martha Shepard. I'm a student at the University of Michigan.
Yes.
I am doing a project on the capital city murders, and I was wondering if you wouldn't mind just answering a couple questions for me to help me with my project.
Capital city murders? Was this somebody shooting students from a tower or something, or what?
Well, the capital city murders, they were a couple deaths which occurred to young women on the University of Wisconsin at Madison between, I think it was like 1965 to like 1987, something like that. And
I was there briefly to get a chance to be chief surgery resident, and the politics were so rotten in that school that I left and got my chief residency someplace else.
Oh, okay. I completely.
But I didn't get to socialize much. I was very busy. I had some really big personal problems among the big professors jealous of each other, and that's the long and the short of it. I really didn't get to know the students. There was just a few that I got to know who were graduate students, and that's about it.
Well, Mr. Jorgenson, I understand that you are suspect in one of these.
That is because of a jealous, well, not jealous, I'll say, a vindictive surgery chief who I exposed to be negligent in his duties. I had a patient which I was watching, that's one of the chest surgery chiefs, and I called him up to let him know that the patient's blood pressure was dropping, and his systolic pressure is falling below numerically the pulse rate. And that's an oxygen rule shock. That was an intern under oxygen in Charity Hospital in New Orleans. And I notified this guy, and he was a myth that I bothered him at a party. Well, guess what the next day the diagnosis was of this patient? Rigor mortis.
Oh, my.
And I embarrassed that son of a bitch, this smart aleck, and then he took it upon himself, who didn't know anything about student affairs, even less than I, and dropped my name as a suspect. And that was just particularly vindictiveness because I exposed him as an arrogant son of a bitch who was exposed for what he was, whereas I did my duty and I informed him.
Well, how come you've never cleared your name then?
I didn't have to clear my name. I did have an FBI because I had connections when I was Sergeant Major of Air Force Headquarters.
Right.
That's how I cleared my name because I was active with a couple of student nurses who came over to see me. I took them back to their abode, and I made an illegal turn, an illegal park. I went straight down the street to their place, dropped them off, made an illegal U-turn, came back to my place, and I was in no way there. My name was cleared by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, but I was involved in some other things, namely espionage overseas, because I made reports as a medical missionary to the CIA. And so this is a matter that was to embarrass the idiots of the socialists and the socialist-minded campus. They seem to think that Christian missionaries were like Elmer Gantry hypocrites, whereas the hypocrites are the socialists, alias communists, in the student body, which are taking over some of our best colleges in the country, like Harvard, Yale, UCLA, and Stanford, and Berkeley. And that's under the dominant theory of education, which took place in the 1890s in this country. And we have some of our own worst enemies right among us. And these are the socialists masquerading as Democrats.
Were you familiar with Christine Rothschild at all? Did you have any relationship with her?
I never met her. I might have seen her when she might have made a spectacle of herself at the restaurant across the street from the university entrance. We heard about her. I didn't even know her name until some years later. And in fact, we have some obsessive compulsive neuroses, and I've heard of somebody else who really made it a career. Well, he sent me a DVD delineating that there was in this Rothschild person's home area a serial killer. She seemed to have forgotten all about that. Furthermore, if she wanted to go into it, I never even dated teenage girls. She was only a teenager. I did when I was in high school because I found something much better. One of my track associates in North Hollywood High School Jose Juarez introduced me to his cousin Amalia in San Fernando, who was 19 years of age. I was only 15. He shot up tall as a 15-year-old. She was such a wonderful girl, and other girls wanted to date me, and that's how I decided to tell them, sorry, I got somebody else. So I never even dated any of the high school girls there, because I found older women and found out how much more valuable they were. So the fact that I could even date a teenager, which I've never done, at the University of Michigan is ridiculous. It bored the hell out of me.
Oh, okay.
And I had no time for them. I was very busy. The surgery department was mismanaged. And you can imagine how it went through the surgery department when Dr. Hickey was thusly addressed by his chief surgery resident, Marvin Steinbeck, I guess his name was. And this was the conversation. But Marvin, why didn't you stop me? But Dr. Hickey, I thought you knew what you were doing. This conversation did a rickety-racket all over the campus. And it wasn't too long after that, but Dr. Hickey had to resign, and Dr. Carreri, who had mafia connections, took over as chief surgery, chief professor. How do you like that for some interesting stuff that was going on?
That is pretty interesting.
Yeah, then we have also Dr. Clint, who is the assistant chief of chest surgery, who is, he didn't even speak to the real chief, the head chief chest surgeon, who was the one that spoke my name in because I exposed him as being an arrogant little neglector of a duty which cost the patient his life because the man should have had a transfusion. I notified him in good time the night when this blood pressure was dropping and his pulse was rising, according to Oxford's rule of shock. And so I was a political inconvenience. I did my job and he did not.
I see.
So here you have some insider politics. I'll remind you again of Senator Sam Hayakawa, former professor at the University of California and senator from California. And he said, compared to academic politics, public office politics are lily white. And if there's any group of politics that's even worse, it would be church politics, because we expect that much more of them. So how do you like them apples?
No kidding, eh? How do you feel about the way these cases were handled?
I think the small-town cop mentality were played for the political advantage of some of the professors at the University of Michigan. And I think that it's sort of pathetic these little cops are trying to handle a job which is far beyond them and then didn't cooperate with other things being satisfied with some really explanation which didn't demand much mental activity.
I see. So you were pretty dissatisfied then, maybe with...
I was looking for a chief to get a chief surgery residency so I could go back into the mission field with better credentials, having finished the chief residency, because British can be pretty snotty, you know.
Okay.
And we have the FRCS, the Royal College of Surgeons. I had an associate in Zululand, Dr. Anthony Barker, who was really a wonderful man, and I would have liked to come back to the mission field in Africa, but I got distracted by the mission field in the ghetto of Brooklyn. I was on the Public Health Committee of the Kings County Medical Society, also consultant in tropical medicine. I had a full plate of stuff, and I didn't know who this Christine Rothschild. I did know some of the Rothschild's family members, actually. In Berkeley, at the University of California, I used to go flying with Bertram Rothschild of the Rothschild family branch in South Africa. In fact, his father had a seat at the stock exchange in Johannesburg.
I see.
And when I was in Africa, I was with him. He guessed at his home in Pretoria. But as I say, I don't believe that he even knew the branch of the family. That there was even the same family that this, what do you call it, Christine?
That's right.
associate with undergraduates. I did socialize a bit at the restaurants and bars and things with the professors and graduate students that invite me to your parties now and then. And you know, when you're on every other night, you don't have a hell of a lot of time.
Absolutely.
And then there was the very hostile competition to get a chief surgeon resident. They're about as popular as Leadville's Amnesty, you know. Find something like that from a good university and give you good credentials when you finish up. As a matter of fact, there wasn't even some doubt about the University of Michigan, except they had nationally a good reputation, except they had some very severe problems intramurally.
No kidding, eh?
Look up the interesting stuff there on the DVD that this little lady from obsessive compulsive neurosis, and it's a shame that she put so much of her life on a bunch of false trails set out by this vindictive professor who I exposed for not doing his job. Well, I just did my job, let him know the patient was in serious threat, and he did nothing.
Now, do you know the name of this excessive compulsive woman?
What? What do you say?
Look,
I have artillery damage from artillery during World War II, and I don't hear everything that well.
Oh, I apologize.
What did you say?
Do you know the name of this obsessive compulsive woman who's been keeping contact with you?